Right, good evening, folks, and welcome to Neotech. Uh, just a thing I wanted to go through regarding PST files. So essentially, when you've got your Microsoft Outlook going, um, you have different types of mail accounts. So if we have a look now, you normally would go account settings, but I don't really like the new format, so I go profiles so I can see everything without this silly new little settings page. Email accounts. You'll see I've got an Exchange account, I've got an IMAP account, I've got a POP account, another IMAP account, and so forth that I'm fiddling with. Um, Most of the time on your computer, if you're a larger business or if you've got Office 365, you'll have a Microsoft Exchange account. Now, in that case, your mail would be stored on the Microsoft cloud, very similar to Gmail mentality, where that would then be stored on the Microsoft cloud. Nothing really resides on your computer. It's just a shadow copy of what's happening on the cloud. If your computer crashes or burns down or gets stolen tomorrow, all of your mail is intact on the cloud. Then we've got an IMAP account. Typically with our accounts, we are a hosting provider as well. We recommend that people only use IMAP on their phones, etc., and that they rather use POP on their local computers, because otherwise you tend to run out of space. Remember that IMAP works like Gmail. It constantly keeps a copy on our server. And you're only paying for X amount of space, typically say 5 gigs. So what happens when that 5 gigs in runs out, you don't get mail anymore and you get upset. And then to change it after the fact is a case of having to export the IMAP to a PST file, back it up, because if you just go removing that IMAP account, you lose all the mail that was on your PC after the fact. So best to have a POP account locally. The downside of that is if your computer gets stolen tomorrow or blows up, you lose all your mail because there's no longer a copy on our server. So if you're going to be wanting to keep mail for long periods of time and large amounts of mail, best to always move to the Microsoft Exchange option. Then Gmail can be added to Outlook. As you see here, I've fiddled with it. It's there as an IMAP account. Gmail would be an IMAP account because you want to keep that copy on the cloud and you do have a lot more space at your disposal on Gmail. So these are the different formats that one can fiddle with. But what I want to get at here today is when that size becomes too large. With the older versions of Microsoft, it's anything between 4 and 20 gigs limit per PST, which is per mailbox, if these were all POP accounts. And with the more recent versions, 50 gigs, it stops working at 49 point something. 50 gigs is your limit. And even on Exchange, if you have an Office 365 account, your initial limit is 50 gigs. You have to purchase additional licensing for additional space to get more than that on Exchange. But on POP, that's your limit. It breaks, things stop working, you lose all your mail if it's POP. And these things can be a real pain. So what I like to tell people to do is to compact their PST from time to time. So first of all, don't have a million different mailboxes. A lot of people have 10 different email addresses all attached, and all of them keep the last 10 years. And so when Outlook opens, it effectively is trying to open 50 gigs plus 50 gigs plus 50 gigs, and so you can see the sort of drain on the system for resources. Best to only attach those that are necessary. Best not to keep too much history. If you do want to keep it, you can archive it to a separate PST and then detach that by just going down to that archive and literally just right clicking on it and saying close. There'll be an option to close test in this case if it was a POP account. Let me grab a POP account here. I could literally just have a close option if it was a POP account. Which one was the POP account? I'll tell you now. Let's just look here. There we go. Test. Okay, so once I have removed the option for receiving mail, I can literally right click and remove it. But the point of today's exercise is I actually want to show you how to compact your PSTs. So what happens is you get mail and it accumulates over time, and it goes to the recycle bin, and you never empty the recycle bin because you're human. So the idea is to go to deleted items, empty that folder. Problem with the way that Outlook operates is it's a database. So you've expanded your size over time, it's got larger and larger and larger. And now you put things in the recycle bin and you delete them, but the used space in its mind is still this big, even though you've got rid of all this. Now you've got to do a thing called compacting. And this applies to any database, SQL or anything like that. You've got to do a compact to squash it down again. Think of a rubbish bin. You throw your rubbish in there, your 2-liter Coke bottles and your Kentucky wrappers and containers, and the bin is full. You want to fit something else in there, you're going to put your fist or your foot in there and you're going to shove it down, pack it hard. And that's what you're aiming for. So you would go to your POP account and you would right click, go data file properties. And then you would say advanced, compact now. Push that button. This is a very tiny little account that I never use. And that will run for quite a long time. The bigger it is, the longer it'll take. It can run for half an hour. And a little progress bar will run across. And what you will see with that is that file, that PST file as it were, if you go back to data file properties and we look at where it's sitting in Outlook. That's an OST, sorry, that's not the POP. Where is the POP, the test account that we're playing with? Sorry, if you go to data file properties there, advanced, compact now, sorry, that looks better. So you can see it's sitting in C Outlook, it's called test.pst, and we're going to compact it. And that'll take a good 20 minutes or so. It'll run through the progress bar. It's empty, so there's nothing in this one. And now if we go and look at C Outlook test while this is happening, if it was running a progress meter right now, you would see that in C Outlook test, if this was, let's say, 50 gigs and you ran that compact, I had one yesterday that ran for probably an hour and I got it done from 21 gigs, I think it was, down to about 9. So that's a massive amount of space savings. Did that to all of the PSTs of the client. They had several of them. And all of a sudden the Outlook was performing 10 times better. So it's just something that, one can look at, and that does normally help out a lot with regards to resources. So empty your recycle bin, compact your PSTs, and Bob's your auntie. That should help a lot. So I hope that helps you. Thanks. Keep well.